One, what if you loved everything that happened? There's a quiet strength in the phrase Amor Fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what life throws at you, not merely enduring it, but loving it, embracing each event, whether joyous or devastating, as something necessary, even sacred. For the Stoics, this idea was not just a poetic gesture, it was a radical shift in perspective. Where others saw injustice, loss, or misfortune, they trained their minds to see opportunity, an invitation to grow, to respond with virtue, to become stronger. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, once wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The image is powerful. Life hurls difficulties into our path like logs tossed into a fire. And we, if we live as Stoics, do not sputter or go dim. We burn brighter. We transform pain into wisdom, adversity into fuel. Amor Fati means saying yes to life as it is, not as we wish it would be. It means ceasing to resist the things we cannot change and instead asking, how can I use this? How can this make me better, more just, more patient, more alive? This isn't about denial. It's not about pretending that sorrow isn't sorrow or that betrayal doesn't hurt. The Stoics never taught that we should be numb, but they did teach that suffering is worsened by our resistance to it. That pain becomes unbearable when we keep asking, why me? Or when we insist this shouldn't have happened. What if, instead, we welcomed it? What if we chose to love everything that happens, not just the sweet moments, but the bitter ones too? What if we stopped asking, why is this happening to me, and started whispering, thank you, even for this? This is not weakness. This is not surrender. This is strength beyond appearances. The kind of strength that comes from trusting that even the worst moment holds within it a gift. Maybe not one we asked for, but one that can shape us. Epictetus, who lived most of his life as a slave, said, "Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be happy." It's not the life we imagine that makes us whole. It's the life we're living when fully embraced. Seneca reminded us that fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. So we have a choice. We can be dragged, clawing and complaining through life's inevitable storms, or we can walk forward with open eyes, open arms, and say, yes, this too belongs. The power of Amor Fati lies in its freedom. When you no longer need to control everything, when you no longer require the world to be different in order to be at peace, you become unstoppable. Not in the sense of worldly success, but in the deeper sense of being unshaken, unafraid, alive. So pause right now and look at your life. The heartbreak, the missed chances, the quiet victories, the unexpected detours. Ask yourself, what if none of it was a mistake? What if this, exactly this, is what was meant for me? Can you feel the shift? That's the beginning of Amor Fati. That's where resentment dies and joy quietly begins. Not the joy of ease, but the joy of being whole. The joy of being in harmony with life, not at war with it. And once you taste that kind of peace, you'll never want to go back. 2. Amor Fati is not giving up, it's rising above. It's easy to misunderstand Stoicism. From the outside, Amor Fati, loving one's fate, can look like resignation, a kind of surrender, as if the Stoic shrugs at life and says, oh well, I guess this is just how it is. But that's not love, that's defeat. And that is not the Stoic way. To love your fate is not to be passive. It's to be powerful in a different way, not by controlling everything around you, but by mastering your response to it. It's a higher kind of strength, quiet, deep, and enduring. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, said it with clarity. Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are. This is not a call to give up your dreams or stop trying. It is instead a shift in focus from trying to bend the world to your will to learning how to shape your character in response to what the world brings. From asking, why can't I have my way, to asking, how can I bring my best to this moment? So often we confuse acceptance with weakness, but true acceptance is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that the waves will come, and instead of yelling at the ocean, we learn to surf. Amor Fati doesn't kill your ambition, it refines it. It teaches you to pursue goals not with attachment to the outcome, but with full attention to the process. It says, do your best, but when the result arrives, don't cling to it. Don't fight what is, transform it. Seneca captured this spirit perfectly. A good person dyes events with his own color. This means we don't let events dictate who we are. Instead, we bring our values, our strength, our kindness to whatever comes. Whether it's a promotion or a heartbreak, a loss or a blessing, we respond with the same integrity. Imagine painting the world not with control, but with color. The Stoic doesn't ask life to be perfect. The Stoic asks, what can I bring to this? To love your fate is to rise above it, not by escaping it, but by meeting it fully and adding something beautiful to it. Your patience, your courage, your humor, your clarity. This is what Marcus Aurelius did in the face of constant war and illness. This is what Epictetus did with a broken body and a life of slavery. This is what Seneca did in exile and eventually in death. They did not run. They did not collapse. They stood tall, and they dyed life with their own colors. So the next time life gives you something unexpected or even unwanted, pause. Don't ask, why me? Ask instead, how can I meet this with strength? Because that's what Amor Fati is. Not a surrender, but a rising. Not passive, but powerful. Not giving up, but going beyond. 3. Pain is not the enemy. Resistance is. We often think pain is the problem, that if life would just go our way, if we got the job, if the relationship didn't end, if the illness disappeared, then we'd finally be at peace. But the Stoics saw it differently. Pain itself is not the real enemy. The true cause of our suffering, they believed, is our resistance to what is. When we reject reality, when we insist that life must be different from how it is, we create a second layer of pain, one that's heavier than the first, a kind of inner tension, a fight against the moment, and that's where the real suffering begins. As Marcus Aurelius asked, does what's happened keep you from acting with justice, generosity, self-control, sanity, prudence, honesty, humility, straightforwardness? His point is sharp and clear. Pain may come, but does it stop you from being who you are? From living according to your values? From choosing clarity over confusion, calm over chaos? The moment we stop resisting what is, when we stop demanding that life always be painless, we open ourselves to something deeper than comfort. We open ourselves to peace. It's not that pain disappears. Life will still bring loss and change, but we learn to stop adding to it with our stories of this shouldn't be happening or I can't take this. We begin to meet pain with presence, not panic, with grace, not grasping. This is where Amor Fati becomes more than a philosophy. It becomes a practice of the heart. It teaches us to soften our grip, to loosen the clenched fist of resistance, and instead breathe, witness, feel. Pain in this light is not your punishment. It's a part of being alive. The Stoics did not fear it. They expected it. They walked through it, not as victims, but as students. Epictetus, who lived with a crippled leg and constant hardship, said suffering comes not from events, but from how we judge them. Pain may be present, but if we don't label it as wrong, it loses its power to torment. When we stop waging war on the present moment, we begin to experience a kind of quiet liberation, a calm strength that comes from no longer needing life to behave a certain way. Amor Fati asks us to welcome even our pain, not because we enjoy it, but because it is real, because it is here, because it too belongs to the path we walk. Imagine carrying a heavy bag up a mountain. The weight is real, but your struggle doubles if you keep looking back, wishing for flat ground. When you accept the climb, when you stop resisting each step, the burden doesn't vanish, but it becomes lighter in your mind. You move forward with more steadiness. This is the shift, from resistance to flow, from tension to trust. And it is not a weak surrender. It is the greatest kind of strength. Marcus Aurelius lived with constant pain and pressure. He didn't ask for an easy life. He asked for the wisdom to use whatever life gave him. In the face of hardship, he didn't complain. He turned inward and asked, what is this moment asking of me? When we do the same, we stop fearing pain. We begin to understand it, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Not as something to fight, but as something to feel fully and honestly. And from that honesty comes clarity. So if you're hurting right now, don't rush to escape it. Don't demand that it go away. Instead, ask yourself, what am I adding to this pain? And what if I stopped? Because maybe, just maybe, peace doesn't come from the absence of pain. It comes from the absence of resistance. And in that space, quiet, clear, and open, you begin to taste a deeper kind of freedom. That is Amor Fati, not cold indifference, but full-hearted acceptance, a love that includes even the hard parts. 4. How tragedy can become a teacher. No one is spared from loss, not even an emperor. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most revered Stoics, lost many of his children. He lost his wife, he led through relentless wars and watched his empire unravel at the edges. And yet there is no bitterness in his words, no despair in his writings. What we find instead is depth, clarity, and grace. He did not pretend the pain wasn't there. He simply did not let it define him. He allowed tragedy to shape him, not into someone hard and closed, but into someone wiser, someone more aware of life's fragility. To Marcus, every loss was a reminder of impermanence, of how everything we cling to, titles, people, comforts, can disappear at any moment. And yet, that knowledge didn't make him fearful. It made him grateful, awake, compassionate. He wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This is the Stoic view, that even the most painful moments can carry within them a lesson, a quiet offering, a chance to see more clearly what truly matters. Epictetus, who endured slavery and exile, offered a sharp truth. Suffering arises from trying to control what is uncontrollable. We suffer not simply because things go wrong, but because we believe they shouldn't. We resist what has already happened. We fight the past with our minds, replaying it again and again, wishing it were different. But Amor Fati, the love of fate, offers a different path. It does not erase the sorrow. It does not ask us to smile through grief. Instead, it invites us to transform our relationship with tragedy, to see it not as a punishment, but as a teacher. This does not mean we stop feeling. Stoicism is not about emotional numbness. Marcus himself grieved deeply, but he didn't let grief harden his heart. He allowed it to open him, to deepen his understanding of what it means to live and to lose. To love someone is to risk losing them. And yet, we love anyway. That is the quiet bravery Stoicism calls us to walk through life knowing it is fleeting and to still show up with presence, with love, with humility. Tragedy, in this view, becomes a mirror. It shows us how little we truly control. It humbles our ego and softens our pride. And in that softening, we grow. You don't need to move on quickly. You don't need to pretend everything is fine. But you can begin to ask, what is this loss teaching me? What wisdom might be hidden beneath this ache? Sometimes pain clears the fog. It strips away illusion. It reminds us that we were never promised forever. And because of that, every moment becomes more sacred. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." Tragedy teaches urgency, but not the kind fueled by panic. It teaches us to stop waiting to live, to stop holding back love, to stop assuming we have time. And it teaches compassion. When you've suffered, you understand the suffering of others. You begin to listen more, judge less, love deeper. This is how Amor Fati transforms loss, not by erasing it, but by placing it within a wider frame, a cosmic context, a reminder that we are part of something larger than ourselves, and that every crack in the heart is an opening for light. So if you are walking through grief now, don't rush the process, but also don't close your heart. Let your sorrow speak. Let it soften you. Let it teach you what matters. Because in the end, tragedy doesn't have to break you. It can build you quietly, patiently, from the inside out. And in that rebuilding, you will find something more enduring than comfort. You will find wisdom. You will find strength. You will find yourself. That is the promise of Amor Fati. Not that we will be spared pain, but that pain too can be sacred. 5. When you accept, you are no longer a victim. In the quiet language of Stoicism, there is no word more powerful than acceptance. Not the kind that comes with passivity or resignation, but a deeper, nobler kind. The acceptance that reclaims agency. That transforms a victim into a philosopher, a sufferer into a student of life. Seneca once said, "Misfortune is virtue's opportunity." In this simple phrase lies the heart of Amor Fati. To love fate is not to pretend that everything is perfect or that injustice doesn't exist. It is to understand that within every misfortune lies the seed of transformation. The Stoic does not deny hardship. The Stoic elevates it. Most people, when faced with hardship, ask, "Why me?" It's a natural question, a human question, but one rooted in resistance, in the belief that life should have gone a different way. The Stoic reframes this. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. When you stop fighting the fact that something has happened and begin to respond to how you will meet it, you step out of the role of the victim. You reclaim your dignity. You become the author of your response, even if you didn't write the situation. Epictetus, who endured slavery, could not choose his circumstances, but he could choose his mind, his attitude, his principles. And in doing so, he was never truly a prisoner. He taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Amor Fati does not mean you must enjoy everything that happens. It means you trust that even the worst moments are part of the larger unfolding, a fabric of fate that, if embraced, can shape you into someone stronger, wiser, freer. You are not asked to approve of misfortune, but to use it. And this, perhaps, is the most radical Stoic truth. Misfortune can become your ally. Pain, injustice, betrayal, all of it can sharpen your character if you let it. It can test your values, expose your strength, reveal the parts of you that were still waiting to wake up. It is easy to be kind when things are easy. It is admirable to be kind when everything is falling apart. It is easy to be calm when all is calm. It is powerful to be composed in the storm. This is the Stoic vision of heroism. Not dramatic conquest or external achievement, but the quiet mastery of one's own inner world, no matter the chaos outside. Marcus Aurelius, a man burdened with empire and grief, wrote, "Everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it's endurable, then endure it. If it's not, then it ends, and there's nothing to fear." When you truly accept reality, you stop adding layers of suffering through resistance. You stop wishing things were otherwise. You stop feeding the story of injustice in your mind, and from that stillness, something new emerges: clarity. You begin to see that no one can truly make you a victim unless you surrender your power. The world may harm your body, shake your security, test your limits, but your character, your soul, remains your own. Always. Amor Fati is not weakness. It is supreme strength. It's the moment you stand up, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You rise, not in defiance, but in purpose. You refuse to be broken, not by pretending things are fine, but by seeing even the worst things as part of your path. There's a quiet pride in that, a silent courage. To look misfortune in the face and say, "You may shape me, but you will not define me." This is not denial, it is transcendence. It's choosing to walk through the fire and let it forge you. Because in the end, life is not about avoiding pain. It's about becoming someone who can hold pain, transform it, and still offer light. So if you find yourself asking, "Why me?" pause and try asking, "How will I use this to become who I was meant to be?" In that moment, you are no longer a victim. You are free. 6. Amor Fati brings you back to the present. There is a quiet tragedy in how often we abandon the present. We live with one eye on the past, replaying regrets, reliving what should have gone differently, and the other eye anxiously fixed on the future, fearing what might come, what might be lost. In doing so, we miss the only moment that truly belongs to us: now. The Stoics knew this. They held it close to the heart of their philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the quiet of the night, reminded himself again and again, confine yourself to the present, because the present is all that is real. The past cannot be changed, the future cannot be predicted, but this breath, this heartbeat, this thought is alive. Amor Fati is often seen as a view toward the past, a way of loving all that has happened, good or bad. But it is much more than that. It is also a way of anchoring ourselves in the present. To love fate is to say, this moment is mine. This experience, even if painful, is not a mistake. It is not something to resist. It is what is. And in that acceptance, we return to the here and now. When you practice Amor Fati, you stop saying, "I wish it had been different." You stop saying, "What if this goes wrong?" You begin saying, "This is what is, and I am here for it." You see the rain falling, not as a ruined day, but as part of the dance. You see the delay not as a frustration, but as a teacher of patience. You feel the ache in your chest and stop asking it to leave, and instead listen to what it's showing you. This is presence. This is peace. Most suffering comes not from what is happening, but from our desire for something else to be happening, our longing for what was, our anxiety about what might be. But when we embrace Amor Fati, we let go of this tug of war. We stop trying to rewrite the script and instead read it with open eyes. You are not what you have lost. You are not what might go wrong. You are here. And that is enough. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself not to drift away in thought. He called himself back over and over to this breath, this duty, this experience. Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. Keep your attention directed to the present task. Why? Because all strength lives in the now, all clarity, all peace. The future is nothing but a stream of imagined possibilities. The past is a shadow of memory, but the present, the real, is where your power is. Amor Fati says, "This is what life has given you, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but now. Love it. Use it. Be here for it. You may not know what's coming, but you do know what's in front of you. And if you give it your full attention, you will begin to feel a kind of joy that does not depend on certainty or control. A joy that grows from wholeness, from not needing things to be any different. You stop saying, 'I'll be happy when,' and begin saying, 'I am alive, and that is enough for today.' This is not detachment from life. It is deeper participation in it. You begin to taste your coffee, hear the silence between words, feel the warmth of a passing moment, even if it doesn't last, because you know nothing lasts, and that is why it is precious." Seneca wrote that life is long, if you know how to use it, but most of us waste it not because we choose to, but because we are never here. Amor Fati is the gentle reminder. Come back. Come back to this step, this breath, this moment, not with resistance, not with judgment, but with gratitude. Because even now, especially now, life is still unfolding, still offering itself to you. And when you say yes to it without condition, without demand, you are not just present, you are free. 7. The freedom that comes from embracing it all. What if there was nothing left to fear? No loss that could break you, no change that could shake you, no future outcome that could steal your peace. This is not a dream, it's the promise of Amor Fati. To love everything that happens is not a call to weakness, it is not passivity, it is the most courageous act of inner freedom. Because when you no longer resist what life brings, you become unshakable. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." And what greater power is there than this? To welcome every turn of fate without needing it to go your way? To say yes, not because it is easy, not because you agree, but because you know that whatever happens is part of a greater unfolding, and you trust that you can meet it with dignity, strength, and clarity. This is what Amor Fati gives you. It removes the chains we so often place on ourselves. Chains of expectation, fear, and control. We plan how things should go. We fear what might come. We carry the weight of what if and if only. But all of this is heavy, and none of it helps. Amor Fati whispers, put it down. Let go of the need to manage the universe. Let go of the belief that your peace depends on perfect conditions. Instead, root yourself in the quiet knowledge that you will meet whatever comes, and you will do so with a heart wide open. This is the Stoics' deepest freedom. Not freedom from pain or difficulty, but freedom from being owned by them. When Marcus Aurelius spoke of a fire that turns everything thrown into it into brightness and flame, he was pointing toward this very idea, that the Stoic mind transforms experience into growth, adversity into wisdom, fate into fuel. You stop fearing loss because you've learned to receive it with grace. You stop fearing uncertainty because you've learned to walk with it. You stop fearing fate because you've made peace with its face, whatever it may be. And then something profound happens. You start to live lightly. Without the constant burden of trying to control the uncontrollable, your shoulders relax, your breath deepens, your attention returns to what is real and near. You begin to see beauty where you once saw inconvenience. You begin to feel gratitude where you once felt complaint. Even when the path is hard, especially then, Amor Fati becomes your compass. It tells you, this too belongs. This too is part of your becoming. What once seemed like detours, delays, disasters, now appear as chapters in a meaningful story. Not because they are easy, but because you are no longer at war with them. You no longer ask life to be fair. You ask only for the strength to meet it well. You no longer demand comfort. You seek character. You no longer run from fate. You walk beside it. This is not just a philosophy. It is not an idea to admire from afar. Amor Fati is a practice, a way of seeing, a posture toward life that changes everything. Because when you no longer say, why me, and you begin to say, yes, even this, you are not just surviving. You are free. And this freedom is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet. It is steady. It is strong. It is the kind of freedom that cannot be taken from you because it was never dependent on circumstances to begin with. It lives inside you, in how you see, in how you respond, in how you love. And when you walk through the world with Amor Fati in your heart, you discover something incredible. You no longer need life to be perfect because you have chosen to love it as it is. And in that love, fierce, honest, and unconditional, you have found the deepest freedom any human being can ever know.